Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7, as well as just the upcoming season or seasons of the DC TV shows and the Arrowverse in general. So though we are quite a while away from the new seasons of the DC TV shows starting up again, definitely quite a while away, which for those that, are still in the dark and did not know as of yet, that's January of next year. The end of January next year to be exact. Yes, so as I said, quite a while away, but one thing that we are always looking forward to when we head into these new seasons of the Arrowverse, and it's something that we usually get a decent amount of information about, before the season even starts airing, is of course the annual crossover for the Arrowverse. And the main reason we do get a decent amount of information coming out, for them before the actual seasons even start, is because they actually do start filming the crossovers around the time the new seasons premiere, maybe just before they air, or a week after they air, one of the two. So you do get casting, little bits of the story, and just I guess what the story is in general for the crossover before cameras even roll it. They'll announce that, oh, it's Crisis, oh, it's Invasion, oh, it's Crisis on Earth X, various things like that before they even start filming it. Now, of course, hashtag Corona time hit and not only stopped production and eventually cut short the seasons for the DC TV shows, but also put a big question mark, a big red one with white outlines over the start date for the production for the next season, which also involved the crossover, of course. Which, from what we know, was apparently already in the works. I think Mark Guggenheim was meant to be on that as well, but I don't know if he'd still be on it. But it seems that version of the crossover, whatever it might have been or could have been, will be put on the back burner or just not done at all. But due to that, there wasn't much known or any really assurance, I guess you could say, that there would actually be an annual crossover in this upcoming season, which would be very weird. It would have been the first time there wasn't a crossover since, well, The Flash joined Arrow to officially make this the Arrowverse. But those worries have seemed to have come to an end, for most at least. So as most of you would know, they had the CW upfronts the other week, which were of course different than they usually are. So there was no trailers for new shows, no trailer for Superman and Lois because it was never able to film its pilot. No cast or brains behind the shows that, came onto the stage and did various things like that, no reveals. It was just the CW president and some media people on a call, just listening, with various little pieces of information being read out. And one of the main things brought up, and I say it's the main thing because it's around the Arrowverse, the biggest thing on the CW, that didn't have to do with finer details around one specific show, was about the Arrowverse crossover for the upcoming season, which we found out would be held on 2 shows only this time around, throwback to the earlier crossovers you could say, between Flash and Arrow, but this time it'd actually be with Batwoman and Superman and Lois. They would be the ones hosting the crossover, and I say hosting because that's an important little part to include. And I'll get to why exactly they'll be hosting it later in the video. But here is actually what the CW president Mark Pedowitz had to say on the upcoming crossover that is in the works. We're still working on it. It will be a smaller event than usual. We're only planning a 2-hour event. We are talking about doing Superman and Batwoman together. There's a lot of characters coming from our other shows. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I would be lying if I said that I thought there would be a quote-unquote proper crossover for the upcoming season of the Arrowverse or the DC TV shows on the CW, because I just honestly didn't. I just didn't think they were going to be able to do it. What I thought would happen, which is still a possibility as well, but this is stuff that would be decided upon later down the calendar, towards the end of this year probably, is that you would get crossovers between just 2 shows and their characters, or just, for example, there would be an episode of The Flash where Supergirl shows up to help The Flash for that episode, but Supergirl as a show wouldn't have an episode that goes hand in hand with that Flash episode. So it'd almost be similar to the musical episode back from season 3. Supergirl came onto that, but there wasn't a Supergirl portion of that crossover. It's just that maybe Supergirl references, maybe sets up that she went to Central City, or that she's about to go to Central City to team with the Flash, or something along those lines. I think that's an easy one to do. And of course the crossover here is going to be on 2 shows, that of course being Superman and Lois as well as Batwoman, but it will have characters from the other shows joining in, like Mark Pedowitz said in his statement. So characters from, Legends, Flash, Supergirl, and maybe even Black Lightning are all up for grabs or for contention to actually show up in this crossover. Now, Mark Pedowitz did say that it would not happen in December given the coronavirus or COVID-19 production shutdown, but hope for it in either the first or second quarter of 2021. Now, as the shows are starting in January of 2021, I wouldn't expect it too early in the season, so not episode 2 or 3, but I think if it fell onto episode 8 or 9 for each of the shows, that would have it landing around the end of the first quarter of 2021 or the beginning of the second quarter of 2021. So around that border area, if you want to call it. And seeing those are the episode numbers, we would usually see the annual crossover fall onto the shows that were involved. So like it'd be like Flash season 7, episode 9. That's what it would have been if we had a normal crossover. It would make sense that they would do the same for this like smaller crossover between these two shows. But one thing that I've seen people confused about, almost like causing a stink, it's the usual suspects on YouTube. You know those channels, but they're like, oh, why is it Batwoman and Superman and Lois? They're making Superman woke? You know those channels. The big reason, and they haven't revealed this yet, but I think when you look into it, I think it's fairly obvious. And that's HBO Max. Now, HBO Max is the new Warner Media streaming service that I think debuts tomorrow, I want to say, from when this video goes out, or the day after. So either tomorrow or 2 days from now, one of the two. But Batwoman will be a launch series on that thing. So when you get HBO Max, if you're getting it on the first day it's out, Batwoman, the full first season will be there for you to watch if you want to watch it. And Superman and Lois will be like a series streaming on there once its first season is over as well. So any like new CW show that starts now, that is a Warner Brothers TV one, its streaming home will be HBO Max. Now all the other shows in the Arrowverse are currently affiliated with Netflix, and I think just Netflix. So one big issue you have is that if they do a crossover where it's like part one's on, say, The Flash and the other half is on Superman and Lois, the first part's on Netflix, but the second part will be on HBO Max. They're completely disconnected, and you won't be able to watch them. You have to have both services to watch, and Warner Media wouldn't want that. They want it on the same service. Now, apparently the Netflix deal ends soon for that. I don't know if it's the end of like the next season or whenever, but I think this makes complete sense that you have it there. That means both the crossover is all on HBO Max. They could even have like a separate thing where they just have, Arrowverse crossover and it has these characters, and they can still have Flash, Supergirl and stuff show up on the crossover they want, but it won't be, affected by the fact that the Flash is on Netflix, the actual show, because the character can still show up on this show and not be affected by any sort of like rights deal or anything like that. So that makes complete sense why it's on HBO Max, and that's the easiest explanation. I've seen people come up with all these different theories and stuff, but that's pretty much the reason in my opinion. Obviously it's the two newest shows, but I think HBO Max is a big reason behind it, if not the main reason. One big issue that also comes with it is, will it move nights? Batwoman's on a Sunday, Superman and Lois is on a Tuesday. Will they move Superman and Lois to a Sunday for 1 week, so it's one episode after the other? Or will they just have part one on Sunday with Batwoman, have a day break, and then it's part two on Tuesday with Superman and Lois? I have to wait and see. Flash is on before Superman and Lois, so that can be a bit awkward, but we'll have to wait and see what they do there. It's up for them to decide. I think either way it works, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, storyline possibilities. I saw some people saying that it's going to be like a take on Batman v Superman. I have no idea where that was pulled from. I don't see that happening. There are like multiple possibilities, but I would just like to see a fairly simple storyline, but an entertaining one that's just cool to watch. And I wouldn't mind one that sort of like starts involving like Batwoman crossing cities. So like that's why Superman and Lois are sort of connected. So it starts like on Batwoman, the show, with Kate Kane or Batwoman looking into a villain or a threat or something like that leads her across Gotham and into Metropolis. They are like cities that are nearby to each other. Like I think the best, like if you live in America, I think the way it's represented is like Metropolis is New York and Gotham is like New Jersey almost, or like around that area, or like that, like I guess like whereas the location of those two places, that like Gotham's where New Jersey would be, and Metropolis is where New York would be. I think it's roughly how they do it. If I'm wrong, correct me. But because these cities will be close to each other, that's another good reason to pair the two shows up. Even though Superman and Lois will mainly be set in Smallville, like they can easily involve Metropolis, because I think Metropolis is still going to play a part in that show. But also one cool thing to remember is that once you get, to involve Metropolis, hey, well, John Diggle show up again with his little green ring. Is that what's going to happen? We know he's in Metropolis, so maybe he could show up in the crossover. That'd be pretty cool. But realistically, like, what other characters could we see? Like, I would expect Flash, because it brings in viewers. Maybe Supergirl, if Melissa Benoist isn't stressed from having to catch up with Supergirl filming because of her pregnancy. Legends would be a stretch just due to like the time travel thing, and their next season just sounds bonkers, where I don't even know how they're going to tie into the Arrowverse at all. Black Lightning is a fairly big possibility, is a fairly big possibility, and his daughters would be cool to have. Obviously, their last season ended in Gotham, so who knows if they stay there or not. We'll have to wait and see. But maybe, I think they should just keep it to the title characters from the other shows. So the Flash for the Flash, Supergirl with Supergirl, Black Lightning with Black Lightning, you know what I mean? Except for the characters from Superman and Lois, as well as Batwoman. They're the ones hosting the crossover, so it makes sense that their side characters would appear in the crossover as well. Not being main parts probably, but still play a role. But I'm sure we're going to hear more and more about this as we get closer and closer to the start of filming, especially once you get like the recasting of Batwoman. I'm sure they'll talk about, oh, you know, they'll probably ask you, hey, you're going to be involved in a crossover when you first get in there, you're excited. So I'm sure we'll hear more and more about that, and they'll probably try to confirm maybe characters showing up. But as I said, I think we'll definitely get Flash in there. I think that's a given. And as I said, I think Flash and Supergirl are the main ones I'll try to get in. But I think Supergirl really depends on Melissa Benoist and what's going on with her, and whether Supergirl filming is going well and they don't really have, and if they have the time to allow her to go do this stuff. But that's for us to wait and find out, I guess, and we'll just wait and see. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it. Shows so let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited for this crossover? I'm sure people were freaking out before, but it's just going to be a normal crossover, I think, for the most part, just shortened, but then hosted on Batwoman and Superman and Lois. Like, you're still going to have the other characters show up. But yeah, let me know your various opinions in there. If you have any storyline ideas, I wouldn't mind hearing them as well in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.